Hey everyone, Sumo Spiffy here. Everything's been pretty steady and quiet in the YouTube sumo space, but there's still a few things I thought would be worth briefly discussing. There are a couple channels I want to show love to at the end, but I don't want them to just be buried back there, so if you're interested in that, you can use the chapters to skip to that part whenever you'd like. Okay then, first let's talk briefly about Natto, everyone's favorite captain of the high seas.
Yar!
He's doing his thing, same as always, but before every basho, there's always a couple people in old comment sections trying to figure out how to find him. So, to be a little more explicit about it, basically you find where he's at, with a number at the end of his name, and then if the channel vanishes, bump the number up by 1. That's it. That being said, he did get smacked pretty quickly a couple times by NHK this basho. I usually get to his compilation 6 to 8 hours after they're uploaded, and this time one was gone before that, so I had to find it elsewhere. He even mentioned possibly leaving videos up for a day and then taking them down rather than leaving them up for the whole tournament until either the channel went down or the basho ended, and NHK hit him so fast that the next day he was like, nope, not gonna work. Presumably he's gonna keep with the YouTube method as long as he can, but if you want to make sure you're on top of it and the other platforms he uses to upload his videos, I recommend googling Natto Sumo Discord and joining his Discord server. Even if you don't want to talk to anyone, you can sit on the announcements channel for anything important and mute everything else. The rest of our favorites are still keeping on. Kintamayama's settled in on Rumble, Jason's working with Abima coverage and seems safe, and really just about everyone else uses Abima too, so no issues to report. That brings us to this channel. First, I appreciate the love shown for the breakdowns, especially towards the end of this past basho, but as I mentioned in a couple of comments, there's no way I can continue to do these every day of a basho from here on out. I've said before that I teach in college, so July was my best chance to see what it's like to make daily breakdowns, or at least close to it, and even this time it was a lot. So going forward, I'll try to do at least a few for what look like the best or most relevant matchups, especially as these new guys build rivalries and create enough head-to-head data to look at. But it'll be like 3 or 4 breakdowns per basho. It also leaves rooms for other types of videos if I feel like they're a good idea, or even just spending more time watching the fights and learning. Right now, I basically just have time to watch Makuuchi and like a tiny amount of Juryo, and this change will let me watch Juryo more regularly. I'm definitely going to continue with the longer form breakdowns like I did with Hakuoho. I'm aiming to do one before each basho. I could do a second if time permits and there's a compelling reason, but I have other ideas for videos too, and I gotta find a level where I can maintain the effort without burnout. Also, I'm going to talk about monetization for a second. If you don't care about this, skip to the next chapter. So I want to acknowledge that I got the option to monetize these videos and I turned that option on. When I first started the channel, I didn't know if I wanted to do that, especially because even if I got to that point, it's not like this stuff would make much money. And I've made like $13 in 3 weeks, so that part's definitely true. But there was a video by Giant Grant Games where he pointed out a part of the YouTube rules that says essentially, if you don't monetize your work, they have the right to do so anyway. And if they do it, they keep all the money. So at that point, I'm like, obviously I should turn it on. It'd be silly not to. Since that's happened, NSK has made copyright claims on some of my videos. These are not strikes. The channel's safe. It just means that NSK takes the monetization for themselves. I have absolutely no issue with this. This is fine. If someone else is going to get the money or the creator piece of the money, I'd rather it be NSK than YouTube. But this leads to a couple of effects on videos going forward. 1. Someone asked in the comments if I could play full fights in the breakdowns before going into detail. Well, it looks like NSK is most likely to catch videos with long stretches of content, so that makes playing the fights in full kind of a non-starter. I really don't mind if NSK ends up claiming some of my videos while I use those recordings, but I don't want to invite it either, you know? For that reason, I'm going to re-upload the video about how to handle injured Rikishi sometime this week without the sumo clips. That video was claimed, but it doesn't use sumo clips except as background, so they can be removed and the video's purpose and content doesn't change. 2. I've started downloading Abima stream so I can start to use their content in the future. I only have this past basho right now, but as time goes on, I'm going to rely on Abima stuff more and more. At the moment, I'll probably still use the main NHK ones for Yeats videos, but I'll try to move more to Abima outside of that. One final note for clarity. When everyone was getting whacked with copyright strikes, that was NHK, Japan's public media organization. The non-strike claims are from NSK, which stands for Nihon Sumo Kyokai. If you ever go to the main sumo website to look for results, schedules, banzukes, whatever, that's them. NHK hasn't given me any hassle about using the recordings after the basho is over, so I have no issue with them, but I was confused about which organization was which when everything went down with the copyright strikes in February, so I'm making sure it's clear that the claims I'm talking about are from the other half of the televised Sumo equation. And finally, a couple channels I'm asking you, my lovely viewers, to support. 1. If you're up at the time Sumo's on and you're looking for a stream to watch or a new stream to watch, Salt City Sumo was pretty good. Full disclosure, they invited me on for day 14 of this past basho, but I had a good time and I wouldn't suggest them if I didn't think they were worth it. Goose is really good at commentating the fights. I'm so used to being able to pause and rewind and look at them over and over for breakdowns that trying to talk about it live just blows my mind. They fly under the radar to some extent because they no longer leave their streams up. If you don't catch it live, you gotta go to their Discord for a link to the recording, but they're there every night of every basho. As for the more standard channels, let me first point you to Mr. J-Wags, or as he's dubbed the channel now, the Dohyo Hot Sumo Talk. I'm sure a lot of you know him because he's been in the game way longer than me, and he's actually part of the reason I curved my channel the way I did. He does a lot of commentary and recap type stuff, and on top of wanting to find my own niche, I also didn't want to be perceived as trying to compete with him, people like him. I'm bringing him up because he needs less than 50 more subscribers to hit 2,000, and I'd like to help him get there. So if you don't know him, check him out, and if you dig his thing even a little, throw him that sub. And finally, check out Sarah Loves Sumo, a little channel less than a year old. I came across her on a Discord, I honestly don't even remember which, when she was frustrated that someone stole her Happy Sumo New Year video, and I think they watermarked it themselves. I checked it out, I thought it was quite good. She is, in fact, the first person I subbed to with this channel. She does a lot of compilations of old stuff from our favorite wrestlers. She got Ura, Enho, Hakuoho from when he was still Ochiai, like amateur stuff. And it's a solid service to the community that she's able to dig up all these old recordings and put them together. At time of recording, she's at 446 subscribers, and I'd like to push her to 500. Not only is that a nice round number, but right now her channel is still small enough that you can't find it in the YouTube search, even if you specifically look for Sarah Loves Sumo, and I think she at least deserves to get big enough that people who look for her channel can find her easily. Okay, update over. Have a great day, and I'll see y'all soon.